Hobao or Hobao, as many people like to call them, including myself, have been around for many years. They're one of the most underrated brands in the RC hobby. They're one of my favourite brands of all time, and I've owned many of the different cars and trucks that they've produced. These guys have been around for a very long time. They've also had some incredible models over the years, and I have featured a lot of their trucks on my channel. One of my all-time favourites is the Hyper SSTE. For me, the Hyper SSTE pretty much ticks every box when it comes to durability, handling, and just outright fun. Lots of you who watch my channel on a regular basis, you know how much I love to support Hobao because they are one of my favourite brands. Now that said, they know how much I love them, but they've never reached out to work with me. That doesn't matter because look, these guys don't need the promotion. They're already producing good cars, and if a company produces good cars, they're gonna sell. They're very popular when it comes to RC racing, but when it comes to bashing, Hobao's not really seen as a go-to brand. No, the go-to brands for bashing seem to be Traxxas and Armour. I think a lot of that is because part support is a little bit better for some people compared to trying to get parts for a Hobao truck. But look, if parts isn't a problem, you need to give this brand a shot because they do produce some of the best cars out there. And bearing in mind they've been around for so many years, it's crazy how many people don't actually give them a chance. Now look, it doesn't really matter because those of you that know, you know just how good these things are. Now I'm part of a local bashing group and we try to go out at least once a month during the summer. I was out a couple of weeks ago with those guys, and Gary, who's part of the group, he's also done some podcast stuff with me on my second channel. He's seen my JK07 brushless, the one that I converted to 6S. He gave it a go and said, I've got to have this truck. I then said, yes, of course, Gary, you can have my JK07 in return for one of your trucks. He said, okay, that's a fair deal. What truck do you want? In this instance, I think we'll let the video speak for itself. Check this out. This is my brand new Hobao. So here it is, this is my new Hyper MTX. This is a truck I've wanted for so long. Doesn't it look fantastic? This thing is a big old beast. Now you heard me say new, this isn't really a new truck. As we know, this thing has been around for a long time, but this is the first time I'm actually featuring it on the channel. I think the main reason I didn't bother with one of these is because I've already got the X-Maxx, and that already takes up a huge amount of space in my garage. But look, when Gary said, give me the JK07 6S brushless and I'll give you my Hyper MTX, yeah, that's an offer I could not refuse. Now I know what Gary's like with these cars. He does like to look after his stuff, and he spent some money on this one as well. He has upgraded the wheels and tyres on this. This thing is running HPI wheels and tyres. Look at these bad boys, they're absolutely huge. I believe these two braces here are also upgrades on this. I'm also seeing more metal down there. And of course, Gary hasn't cheaped out on the steering servo. This thing has a 55 kilogram AGF steering servo. The only thing I've done to this is add clip retainers. They're a nice, cheap and easy upgrade. The stock body clips that this comes with aren't the best, so I think this is a nice little upgrade. Now this was actually purchased as a rolling chassis, and Gary's put his own electronics in this one. Now we've already covered the steering servo. That thing is a beast. This is also running 6S in fraction electronics. So yes, of course, this is running the 150 amp Spectrum ESC, which is 6S capable. Down here we have the 2050 kV brushless motor. I do want to upgrade the fan on this. That is on my list to do. And then finally, I've got this hooked up to my Radio Master MT12. Now looking at this truck, it's definitely an impressive size. But how does this compare to some of the other trucks out there? So I'm going to do a very quick comparison to give you guys an idea as to how big this truck actually is. So on the left there, you can see the team associated rival MT10, and we all know that's a 1/10 scale truck. On the right, we have the Traxxas X-Maxx, and many would say it's a 1/5 scale / 1/6 scale. So what I'm going to do is place the MTX in the middle, just like that, and there you can see it's pretty much smack bang in the middle when it comes to size. Now I've picked the camera up, and I want to show you some different angles, because the X-Maxx is an incredibly large truck, and it's just a bit of a pain sometimes to transport around, which is why something like this is still a large truck, but it's just that little bit smaller to make it a little bit easier to transport. And then of course the MT10, Well, that's much smaller, way easier to transport compared to these two. But I just wanted to give you a very rough idea as to how big the MTX actually is. It may not be as big as the X-Maxx, but it's still a very large truck. So we know this thing looks incredible. We know it's a little bit smaller than the X-Maxx, which is kind of good for a lot of people who want an easier truck to transport, but are still looking for a large truck. But before we give this thing a blast on 6S, I do want to talk a little bit more about the brand. Now, the reason I like the brand so much is because they do give you really cool looking trucks, which are also affordable and incredibly durable. And I've proved that many times when I've done various reviews on my channel. I just find it crazy that there's hobbyists out there who won't buy one of these, for example, because it's not from Traxxas or Armour. Now look, I'm not silly, I know how it works. Brand snobs exist. People don't want to spend money on something they've never heard of. And of course, Traxxas and Armour have a fantastic advertising department. We always see really cool trailers and videos of their new products. How often do we see videos and trailers from Hobao? I think that's one of the reasons these guys are so underrated, because so many people haven't actually heard of them. I don't know, but I'd love to hear what you all make of this. Drop a comment down below and let me know. What do you think of Hobao? Do you own any of their trucks? And would you buy one of these over something like an X-Maxx? So here we go, first test of the Hyper MTX. Now I already know this thing is a beast because Gary let me have a go at this. It's just a big animal. Oh! Some people may be wondering, why haven't I speed tested this? Now look, you don't have something like this to go mega fast. If you want to go fast, you buy a road car. If you want something that's going to be insane on the dirt, this is the kind of truck you want. That is why I'm not speed testing this today, but people have. And it's still pretty quick. I think mid-40s on 6S. Whoa! It's got so much power. Yeah, this thing is an absolute weapon. And that wheelie bar is definitely coming in handy. I love coming to places like this. This is where trucks like this should be run. I'm not into the skate park stuff, as you know. But a place like this truck is at home over here. There's so much dust. Now you all know I love the brand, but this is one of those trucks that I'd never actually thought about getting. And that's mainly because I own the X-Maxx. I just thought to myself, what's the point? Because, you know, do I really need another large truck? And now I just regret it even more. I should have got this a little bit sooner. But look, better late than never. What an absolute weapon. Absolute weapon. And a massive thanks again to Gary for swapping this for the JK07 brushless. It's fair to say that this will definitely put a bigger smile on my face compared to that. And that thing is a beast on 6S. But Gary's got plans to make that thing even better. So he's the perfect man for the job. And I know he's going to get endless fun out of that as well. But yeah, I'm so glad I finally got a Hobao MTX here on the channel. Better late than never. Love it. Absolutely love this thing. So there we go then, finally I've got the Hyper MTX here on my channel. There's not really a lot more I can say about this. It's just incredible. Now, I expected nothing less from this brand. They always seem to deliver, and I do think they do deserve more credit than they get. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the Hyper MTX. Do you like this truck? Would you buy one? Let me know in the comments. I'm always interested to hear from you guys. I've got a little bit of battery left, so guess what I'm gonna do with this? If you enjoyed today's video and you want to check out more from Hobao here on my channel, click one of these videos now.